Hey, welcome back. Let's take a look at the Gotheria halos and how they can interact with your artworks. You'll notice that with this collection, there are 6 borders in total. I wanted to create a wide selection for this first release, and I've included 2 of the basic halos. One is a thinner version, which you'll most likely use if you have a smaller artwork, and one is a slightly thicker one, which you'll use if you have larger dimensions on your artwork. For this image, I'm going to go with Gotheria number 2. I'm going to drag and drop in, and I'm not going to resize quite yet. First, I need to separate my subject from the background. We only need to do a very basic separation for the halos to work. So I'm going to just duplicate the background layer by hitting Command or Control J, and then I'm going to select subject and let Photoshop do it for me. I'm going to go down here to this mask icon and click this. This will now separate my subject from the background, and you'll notice if I drag this halo behind, that looks really cool already. Let's go ahead and resize this now by hitting Controller Command T. Now, I like to say that a good halo is about a hand's width distance from the edges of the head. I've designed these to work a few different ways. One of these is simply by dragging and dropping and setting to color dodge. This works because of the gold foil that has been applied to it, but what if we want more control? Well, let's take a look at the AEF Halo action, and if you watched the border video, this is going to interact exactly the same. Your Photoshop may look different than mine in that it's not turned to button mode with your actions. With actions, you actually need to tap on this set of 4 lines at the top right and click button mode. It's actually a lot easier. I didn't know this existed until this year. So I'm going to go back and set this to normal. Now, click on my AEF halo. The halo is now complete. I encourage you to take creative control by painting in the highlights where you see fit. Think of how the light in your image may interact with the halo. Try opening the groups and adjusting the colors of the highlights and shadows and midtones. Then, add more drama via the AEF Increase Halo Contrast action. Finally, experiment with adding texture and/or polishing off with a glow. We're going to open our folder here and click on this highlight. Let's do a quick review of what masks do. A mask allows you to erase or unerase part of an image so that you can always get rid of it or bring it back. If it's black, it's erased. If it's white, it's fully unerased or fully visible. So right now that means our midtones and our shadows are fully visible, but our highlights are not. Using any paintbrush, you just want to paint with white. My suggestion is to use a low flow rate so that you can control the buildup of the highlight. If you'd like to remove some of the brightness, you can go to the midtones and paint with black. This will push it into shadow. Since we're dealing with such an intense light source in this image because of the lightning, let's add a little bit of a highlight coming back onto the edge of this halo like a little metallic glow. And I'm going to paint some of those midtones back in as well. Let's take this to the next level, and now going to the AEF Halo Increase Contrast action, which has been provided. There will be a warning here that says, before pressing continue, please ensure you have already run AEF Halo and you have the Ethereal Romanticism Halo group selected. If you do not have it at this point, you would hit stop, close your folder, make sure that it is selected, and then click on the Halo Increase Contrast. You may now add light to your halo by painting with white on the Highlight Contrast Increase folder, increase shadow intensity by painting with black on the Midtones folder. Let's open this back up and see that we now have more folders available. We can now increase the contrast by simply painting with white on these new folders that have appeared. What I think is really fun about this, you can't paint outside the lines, and you're able to make this look as though it is metal that is truly being affected by the lighting behind it with just a couple paint strokes. While it's beautiful as is, I might actually want to add in a glow to the exterior of the halo. I've included the AEF Halo / Border Glow. This can be used on either the halo or the border. All it requires is that you have this group closed and that you press play. Once again, it will warn you and will say, make sure you have one of the following selected. And if you have a mask applied, the action will not work properly, so please remove it before applying this. So let's hit continue. Wonderful. The Halo Border Glow is now ready to be applied. For the best results, start by painting in the highlights section on the brightest areas of your halo. Next, you can add a softer glow radiating out to the midtones with the highlights midtones. Use a soft brush with a low flow rate. Be subtle, less is more with this glow. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what we have to work with. There's 2 layers and both of them are with a black mask. So with a very low flow rate, I'm going to go down to 10%. I'm going to gently paint with white to start adding this glow in, and we can already see that this halo is starting to give off a glow. Well, if I wanted to add a little bit more, what if I go down to this midtones? Let's paint with that as well. It's really starting to give off a bright sheen to this, and very quickly, we were able to add in a glow. What if I want to get rid of some of the digital side of this? Let's go back to our Ethereal Romanticism Halo with contrast, and let's click on the AEF Halo Border Paint texture. Once again, it will say to make sure you have one of the following folders selected. In this case, we have the halo selected. I'm going to hit continue. The paint texture has now been applied. To refine your texture further, you may reduce the intensity by lowering the opacity of the folder, increase the intensity by masking in the paint increase texture. Now let's stop. I'm going to zoom in to 100% here just to show you what this did. I'm going to close this, off, on. And what it's done is it has applied a paint texture in order to get rid of some of that digital artifacting and make this feel more as though it was truly painted. We can remove this by painting with black to soften the effect on the overall paint texture. And if we want to increase the contrast, we can simply paint with white on the lower section. It's pretty rare that I actually want to increase the contrast, but I did want to provide that as an option. Just like that, we've been able to create a halo in a matter of a minute or two that would previously have taken me about an hour. And I've made it so that these actions can be repeated an indefinite amount of times. I made these for you. I've been developing these over the last 2 years, and they're awesome. They're really awesome. And I'm excited to share this with you.